Elizabeth is unwell. We'll hear live from our royal correspondent. Western countries to send yet more weapons to Ukraine as President Zelensky claims military success in the south and the east.
Ukraine is making a counteroffensive and trying to make a counteroffensive along the front line. We are having the will and the wish to liberate our territories, and with the support of our Western partners.
UK scientists seek World Health Organization approval for a promising new malaria vaccine. Radio as a lifeline for prisoners on death row in Texas.
You never realize where somebody's at in their own life. And then when you kind of invade that space through those headphones, it's the ultimate community builder. It really is.
Also, a look at if and how warfare has changed over the last 70 years. More after the news.
Hello, this is Julie Candler with the BBC News. Buckingham Palace in London has said that Queen Elizabeth is under medical supervision after doctors became concerned for her health. The heir to the throne, the Prince of Wales, and other members of the royal family have gone to Balmoral in Scotland, where the Queen has been residing for the summer. The British Prime Minister Liz Truss, who was only appointed by the Queen on Tuesday, said the whole country would be deeply concerned by the news. Our royal correspondent Nicholas Witcher is following developments.
This is a very sombre moment, because politicians are saying there is profound concern, and I think that that is absolutely right. Hoping for the best, but let's be completely candid now, braced for the worst. It may be that there will be a recovery, but there has been a gradual deterioration in her health from everything that we can glean, from everything that we can observe over these recent months. The big change happened last October, the day that she cancelled the trip to Northern Ireland, and she was brought into hospital and stayed in hospital overnight. And that was the moment when it became apparent that there was something going on that we had not been aware of.
The United States has announced $2 billion in loans and grants for Ukraine and neighbouring countries to spend on American military equipment. It's also announced a further $675 million worth of direct military aid for Ukraine. The move was revealed as the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken made a surprise visit to Kiev, where he's expected to hold talks with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The Chinese government has told people not to travel during the holiday around China's National Day on October the 1st to prevent the spread of COVID. From Saturday until the end of October, travellers will need a negative test to visit another province. Officials seem particularly nervous about COVID in Beijing, which hosts a Chinese Communist Party Congress next month. At the meeting, Xi Jinping looks certain to break recent tradition and get a third term as leader. Meanwhile, a COVID lockdown has been extended in Chengdu. Australia's Parliament has passed its first climate change legislation in more than a decade. It pledges to cut carbon emissions by more than 40% by 2030 and to net zero by 2050. Phil Mercer in Sydney has more.
For the first time, Australia has a legislated emissions reduction target. But for years, action on global warming was bogged down by politics. The previous Conservative government was a strong supporter of the fossil fuel industry. However, the recently elected Labour Party has promised more ambitious policies. The Climate Change Minister Chris Bowen said the new law would send a message to the world that Australia was serious about driving down emissions.
World News from the BBC. The local government of Spain's Canary Islands estimates that about 1,000 people have died so far this year trying to reach the archipelago by sea. The Canaries are a popular destination for migrants making the dangerous crossing from North and West Africa to reach Europe. Guy Hedgeko reports from Madrid.
The number of those who have died so far this year while attempting to reach the Canary Islands is almost the same as the figure for the whole of 2021. Sub-Saharan and North African migrants frequently attempt the crossing in small motor-powered boats, but bad weather or engine failure often causes the vessels to be blown off course or capsized. In recent months, Morocco has started clamping down on departures from its shores. However, around 11,000 migrants have already attempted to cross from Morocco to Spain so far this year.
A court in Pakistan has indicted the former Prime Minister Imran Khan for contempt of court. The cricketer-turned-politician is accused of threatening a judicial magistrate last month who had ruled against one of his close political aides facing treason charges. The High Court in the capital Islamabad said Mr. Khan did not submit an unconditional apology. The charges against the former Prime Minister will be filed in 2 weeks. Taliban officials in eastern Afghanistan say several schools for girls have resumed classes after hundreds